Good evening. Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura Turkey, and I'm the President and CEO of the Midlothian Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to everyone who has joined us tonight for our second annual Midlothian Business Plan competition. The competition is hosted by the Chamber's Education Committee, comprised of Chairwoman Angel Biasotti with Methodist Midlothian, our Education Chair, there's Angel. Our Education Chair is Sharon Price, CBA. She's with RP Media. John Knight with First Financial. He's making a bank deal even as we speak. Kyle Kennetteber is the president of Midlothian Economic Development Corporation. And then Kayla Kelly with Tarleton State University. Where's Kayla? There she is. So welcome to all of you, and of course I'm on the committee. I'm the CEO of the Chamber. One of our goals is to bring some of the best ideas and entrepreneurs together to launch innovative, high-quality businesses right here in Midlothian, one of the best cities to start a small business. The three finalists have proposed some game-changing, innovative ideas that will transform our city. The competition would not have been possible without support from Chamber members and sponsors, Methodist Midlothian Medical Center, Tarleton State University of Midlothian, Frost Bank, First Financial Bank, and Omega Airline Software. We also have several in-kind companies who are providing services and equipment to the winner tonight. This includes A Fairchild PC, Diamond Voice Cloud Phone Services, Frost Bank, First Financial Bank, Hardesty Law Firm, Paragon Payroll, and the UPS Store. Please join me in thanking all of our sponsors for this year's competition. The Chamber's Education Committee seeks to teach entrepreneurs the importance of developing high-quality business ideas and plans, and provides them with an opportunity to start their business or grow their business right here in Midlothian. Tonight, our three finalists are Pugh's Pet Paradise, Valor Security, and White Rock Speckle Park. At this time, I am pleased to introduce Chamber Board Member John Knight.
Thanks, Laura. So it's a great pleasure to be with you tonight and to introduce our esteemed judges, which I think this weather has delayed several of them. So we're going to kind of work on the fly and make this still a great event. First, I want to introduce Jason Jacobus. Jason is on the Methodist Midlothian Hospital Advisory Board and also Executive Vice President with Buckley. I want to introduce Mayor Richard Reno. He's the Mayor of Midlothian and also owns Omega Software. And Dr. David Dupenny, a professor of organizational behavior here at Tarleton. And then Katie Carlson, Vice President of Frost Bank, will be here soon, along with Austin Elsner, the Regional President and CEO of First Financial, and David Hunt of Access Self-Storage. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw to see the three presentations to who will go first. The way to work is each team will have 10 minutes and then 5 minutes for question and answer. We'll keep the team in that we draw to go first, and we'll ask the other two teams to step out in the hall and bring them in on their turn. So I've got all three of their names here. I want to introduce my son, London Knight. He loves business, and he came last year to watch, and we roped him into helping out with the drawing. He asks me every day, I'm a banker with First Financial. You got any good deals going? What are you working on? Who'd you meet with? So I think you'll see London and his business plan up here in the next 10 years, but he's a 7th grader at Walnut Grove. All right, so we're going to do this order. So first up will be Pugh's Pet Paradise. Followed by White Rock. Well, makes it pretty simple, right? If you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at anybody, right? All right, so we're going to change our order just a little bit, and we're going to have Dan Altman from 878 Airsoft come up. He was last year's winner, and he's going to give us a little update on where their business is and how it's going, and what's happened over the last 18 months since his team won.
Thanks, John. All right, as John mentioned, I'm Dan Altman, and my business is 878 Airsoft. And we had a very, very difficult year with a lot of challenges. Our plan, and if you don't know what Airsoft is let me get this right, it is similar to paintball, but what we do is we use real military equipment. We use Humvees, we use transport trucks, we even have helicopters at times, and people will wear uniforms, usually a green uniform or tan uniform, and then they'll have replica firearms and we'll shoot each other with little plastic BBs. It's a big game. People will travel all over the world to play it. They will go to military bases. A lot of them are retired military and active duty military. It uses it's a training exercise. So our plan was to expand our field to include an indoor field and also a gym facility. And we made this presentation, I think it was in February of 2020. Is that right, February?
November 2019.
It was November of 2019. The year has gone a long way, okay? November of 2019. We started out, things were great. I want to thank Ann Fairchild, the CPA, that was part of the award package. She was very good at helping us to organize the finances and work. And then from there, we worked with Amy Lottie, Carrington Coleman to restructure the business. John Knight wasn't part of the prize package, but his bank was instrumental in working us with financing. We were poised, we had plans. One of the first things we did is commission civil engineering plans. That was where about $1,000 of the $5,000 went. We were prepared to go forward. We were having a little trouble finding a builder. Things were moving in those first few months of 2020. No one really thought about this COVID thing very much. It was something in China. And then COVID hit. Now, the first thing is, I've looked at a lot of business prospectuses over the year, and they always talk about two things. There's always a big chart of risk that a business faces. And one of those is always regulatory risk, and the other is supply chain risk. And really, as Americans, we don't really think about those things as things that lawyers will put into a prospectus just to scare us and tell investors that you need to be careful before they put money in the business. What we found in this is we really got hit with regulatory risk and later supply chain risk. The first thing that happened is, we, of course, in February, last week of February, that's what I was thinking of. We got the order from the county came to shut down all businesses. And through the connections we made in the chamber, we were aware that the county was going to do this. We actually appeared at the county commissioners meeting, and we argued that they shouldn't close their business. We said specifically, don't close their business. We have a huge set of area where no one's going to be in contact. Some of the commissioners were arguing about, well, maybe someone will touch the pink ball and then it'll get on their fingers and then they'll get COVID by touching it. And we nonetheless, we pressed through. We were closed for a week. The next week, the governor had an order that said outdoor activities were allowed, provided no more than 4 people were together in a group. And so we restructured our business, and we had 4 people in groups shooting at each other. So they were never close to each other, they were always far apart, and we only allowed 40 people. So we looked at what the rules were. We said 40 people on the field on 160 acres. We spread people out. We required people to register online and to have a check-in process. They had to verify they weren't sick, they had not been in contact with any COVID. After they left, every week we tracked them. Hey, are you okay? Did you contact COVID? We went ahead and did this. Nonetheless, we had the emergency management director from the county had a conversation with us. We had a conversation with the county judge. We prevailed. We stayed open. And again, those are people that we met through the chamber, working with the chamber. It's invaluable the contacts you build in the chamber and the resources you gather when you get out there in the business world. Because that was the biggest risk. I've talked to other field owners. Just met one in Houston last week who was closed down at the very beginning, had to actually go to court and it took him almost 5 months to get open. And you guys just cut me off when whenever you can send, let me know. So this is regulatory risk, this is huge. Nobody ever had to deal with all the businesses in place being shut down. So we stayed open, and what we found, we had people that were unhappy with us, said, hey, you're risking people's lives. It was a challenge. We explained our safety protocols, and we explained we were tracking people. And within 2 months, we were able to demonstrate no one had gotten sick at our field. We were able to track those numbers. We were able to say no one's getting sick. It's an outdoor activity, just like Lincoln Golf Courses were doing. And at the end of that, so we stayed open. And what we found is we actually boomed with the outdoor business. People wanted to go to an outdoor business. Well, as I mentioned, our original plan was to have an indoor field, which raised a lot of problems. So what we did is we tuned it, we continued to try to work. What we found increasingly was the steel prices going up. And we were planning to build a metal building and then finish it out. And we just have been completely unable to get a builder to build a metal building. And instead the steel prices have gone up, but it's just we can't get materials. So our outdoor business, we have 2,500 of that money still sitting there. We're on our third builder who said, look, I can't do this project, I just don't have time, and I don't have materials to get you to do this. So we're still on the sidetrack with that. So that's the supply chain risk. But we have 2,500 banks still sitting, we have our plans. We have John, as I mentioned earlier, was able to refinance and restructure existing debt for the field and bring down our payments, so we currently are operating very profitably on our core business. And we also built additional outdoor buildings. We now have divided the field into, we can do 2 sets of operations at once, which means we can have walk-ons, which are kind of amateurs that come in. And beginning in January, we started hosting very highly specialized activities. We had a World War II reenactment where everyone came out with World War II uniforms. Someone brought a World War II half-track out to the event. So we've been able to do things that we weren't able to do before and we're able to expand despite COVID. So I guess what I would say in the end, sort of conclusion on this, is if you work with the chamber and you use the resources they have available, even when you're hit with these unprecedented risks, your business can survive and you can succeed and thrive. So thank you again for the opportunity. I'd like to thank the judges and all of the people who made the award possible and all the work you put into it. And I hope you'll continue this program because it does a lot of great things.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And I'd like to introduce Katie. She's arrived from Frost Bank, and she's one of our judges. And then we also have tonight Jeanette Underwood. She's the Dean of Navarro College, Midlothian campus. She's been with us since the beginning and very involved in the education committee and the Midlothian business competition. So we're just waiting on one more judge, but we're going to go on and get the power part and go on and get started. Joe Coy, you will be our first presenter. If I can have the other 2 businesses, if you'd step outside. And y'all can just get ready, we'll get everything started. And Riley, get ready, she's going to time.
Hello and good evening. My name is Jacoy Pugh, and this is?
My name is Corey Pugh.
And we are a husband and wife team of, I have to think about it, we are Pugh's Pet Paradise. I was trying to make sure who we are, sorry. All right, so who are we? We are family owned. Our plan is to have a full service domesticated animal clinic. providing doggy daycare, overnight pet boarding, grooming, pet store, as well as veterinarian house calls. Our mission is to offer affordable pet care with passion and precision. All right, so as far as the products and services offered, baby, you want to read?
Sure. As far as the products and service that we offer, our first thing that we're going to concentrate on is veterinarian house calls. This is where we actually want to take the time, have a couple of veterinarians that we're going to hire, and we're going to be mobile. We're going to go out to people's homes in the event that their pets or animals need care for. We're also going to have pet grooming. We're going to have a facility set up to where you can actually bring your animals out, your pets out, and we can actually groom them there. In addition to that, we're going to have a store where we have pet supplies and things of that nature, and not only that, but a daycare where you can actually bring your pet out, and we're going to have a lot of activities for a pet to do where they can run around and things of that nature. And it's going to be very environment friendly. We actually are taking the time to go out and we're going to, with the dog waste or cat waste or things of that nature, we're going to have that recycled. We're actually working with some companies right now to have them come out, and we're going to have these different waste bags where they can use that to recycle the waste so that it can be environment friendly. I wouldn't recommend it that you use it for a garden, but I would definitely recommend it for a flower bed.
He's going to tell a lot of jokes tonight, so be ready. All right. Our customers, the Midlothian residents and neighboring cities, busy professionals, of course, senior citizens who are unable to transport their pets to the clinic. So what drives us? Well, it's our love for our pets. So our bonus babies are Max and Duke. Max is a poodle terrier mix who loves to chase the squirrels in our backyard, and I'm not fond of that. And then Duke is a multi-poo. We actually had a painful experience with Max. So here's Max here, the first photo. The second photo, he actually had a condition that I cannot pronounce. It was more letters in the alphabet without maybe 4 or 5 of those letters. But he actually was bleeding out. He had internal bleeding where he cannot get any vaccinations anymore for the rest of his life because of that condition. And so we have our sweeties, Max and Duke, there all cuddled up together. So that's what drives us, or what has driven us to move forward with Pugh's Pet Paradise. As far as market research goes, just globally, the pet industry is expecting $358 billion by the year of 2017. I know that we love our pets, and we know that anyone that is a pet owner, they really are an extension of us, so we get it, we truly get it, and know that this industry is going to continue to climb when it comes to food and grooming services, things of that nature. As far as local research, something that we looked at is that we found that there's only 3 companies offering house calls within the DFW Metroplex. And it's not in Midlothian, as we've noticed, is one of those places. We also recognize, obviously, that with the economy opening back up, people are wanting to start traveling and getting out and having fun, so they need places in order to take their pets. And then also with the mobile services being offered, it's going to be much more convenient for the pet owners, and also reduces any pets that would possibly be waiting in kennels. Our competitive advantage, the first thing, as I noted before, really is house calls in surrounding areas. Like I mentioned, there's only 3 in the DFW Metroplex that actually does house calls, and so that would be our primary competitive advantage. But then also here we have 4 commitments with regards to our organization. Our commitment to our pets, obviously, foremost, and then our commitment to our family and remaining as a family-owned organization so that we can create a legacy for our family, our children. We have our oldest child sitting in the back with us. and our commitment to our community. The commitment to the community is to look at ways in which we can build strategic partnerships with the community, with the local schools, colleges, and universities, and other businesses that we can utilize their services to keep Pugh's Pet Paradise in business. And then obviously a commitment to our planet, looking at ways in which we can reduce that footprint, that waste footprint, in the way that we structure our business. Our marketing plan is obviously to become an active member of the Midlothian Chamber of Commerce, having an open house or grand opening for our facility, building strategic partnerships, as I mentioned a moment ago, establishing organic and SEO digital marketing. So really making sure that we have a solid digital marketing plan. Direct mailers, of course, to those in the community, radio ads, and then of course we've got to have some family and friends day so that we can connect with other businesses and those in the community. Regulation, in our research that we did, we understood the importance of staying in touch with any regulations. So you have the American Veterinary Medical Association, Texas Veterinary Licensing Act, and then the American Association of Veterinary State Board. So those are some organizations that we have to make sure that we are adhering to the rules and regulations as it relates to the industry that we're tapping into. As far as pricing structure, we did our research in looking at a variety of businesses that are in this particular industry, those that are in the Midlothian area, but then also surrounding cities. So how we determine our pricing really is just in comparison to what we saw in our local research and then surrounding cities. And so I know that we're on the clock, so we can see those. I won't go through those bullet points. All right. And then, let's see, my clicker, I need to go to the, nothing after that? Okay, no worries. Let me go to, all right, so as far as our operating plan, which would have been next, our operating plan is that for the first year, our plan is to be open for 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, okay? We understand that with this being our first year, we've got to hit the ground running. And we know that we need to make our services available to the community. The goal would be Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now, we listed several services at the very beginning. We recognize that all of those services cannot right out of the gate be made available. We have to work smart, right? So we know that we can't make everything available. So our initial services would be the doggy day play, pet grooming, and the mobile house calls, the mobile services between the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. As far as frontline staff that would be needed, we identified that we needed a receptionist, we needed 2 mobile veterinarians, groomer, day play staff members, and then of course part-time volunteers, individuals who also have a love for animals to help and support us throughout the day. And then as far as our financials, let's see, I didn't bring my phone up here, so I'm sorry. So as far as financials, I'll go off the top of my head because I know our presentation would be without some type of technical difficulty. But with the first year, the goal is that we recognize that with our 3 key services, we wanted to make available as far as doggy day play, grooming, and the mobile house calls. We made it very simple that at a minimum we saw 10 pets apiece for each of those services, that we would be able to, what did we, roughly, it was like 350, I think 356,000, I think were the numbers that we came, that for the first year, and that was looking at each of those services. So we were understanding the fact that the first year that we would likely need to it would be okay for us to break even, and then we would look thereafter to likely increase by 10%, knowing that that would be the goal for us to increase our expenses by 10%, but then also with the goal to increase our revenue anywhere from 10 to 15% the following or subsequent years. And anything else that you would say to that? All right, so I think that pretty much summarizes everything that we have, and we've got the funds, and we're done. Any questions? Yes.
You gotta be smarter than the equipment you got right now. You mentioned there were 3 services in the DFW area. Have you done any of your cost comparisons? In other words, have you looked at what they're paying their veterinarians, what they're paying their staff, and compared that, factored that into your expenses and created some kind of pro forma?
Yes, and that's a great question. We definitely did. We looked at surrounding cities, so not only in Midlothian, I think we looked at Smoochable Pets is a mobile pet. We also, I think Blue House Boarding was one. And then we looked out in neighboring cities just to see what the price point is. So the way that we came up with our pricing really is what is going to be consistent with what's going on in the Metroplex right now. The other thing that we looked at as far as our staff, to that second part of your question, did we look at salaries or what it would cost for payroll purposes? Yes, we looked at that for the state of Texas, but then we also looked at it for the entire U.S. We were able to look at and identify the top 10 states as far as that paid the most for veterinarians, and then those that were at the bottom, the top 10 on the low end. And so what we found is that for the state of Texas, for veterinarians alone, is roughly about $109,000. And then with other states, because we know that a veterinarian school, colleges and universities, right out of the gate, starting point is about $85,000 just coming out. And so we considered that, knowing that we wanted to partner with veterinary schools and saying, hey, where can we partner with them, get some new talent, get them in where they were making close enough to 6-figure, where they get a chance to polish themselves and get their feet wet. So we did take a look at those price points as far as our services. We looked at the numbers as far as staff. I think we looked at for groomers, like 28,000 for the year. Yeah, so we looked at all of that. The receptionists, we definitely looked at those points. Yes.
Two-part question for you here. And then how about that? Sorry, I'll come back to that.
It's okay. Listen, my presentation didn't go all the way through, so it's okay.
Sure. On your house calls, were those house calls for veterinary services or certain house calls for your grooming and other things?
So what we did is that we wanted to make sure that we didn't take away from some of the businesses that were already in market. So like I said, one of them, Smoochable Pets, Smoochable Pooch, I think, they are mobile grooming. Our mobile service is specific to the veterinarian house call. Okay, so we were looking at that specifically as far as the mobile. So as the years progress, then we would look at having on-site veterinarian services and on-site clinic that would be available.
In my opinion,
Sure.
I think your price point is too low for a house call.
Okay.
There's convenience there with that. You're making it convenient and you have more time. You can't, for every 3 service calls in a clinic, you can probably only do 1 house call because you have drive time and things like that. You need to get paid for that. Right? You have grooming services that are cheaper than a house call for a veterinarian who's gone to 8 years of school for that.
Okay, good point. And thank you for bringing that up because that was part of my slide that didn't pop up. As far as $55, we were saying for $55 would be the base point for a house call, and then the standard IRS mileage rate, which is 56 cents per mile. So we were factoring that in as well. To that point, but that's a very valid point. Oh, it's coming up now. Okay. No worries.
Well, great job with the technical difficulties.
Thank you. It happens when you're the first one up. It happens.
Absolutely. Your staff, are they going to be employees or are they be independent contractors? And if employees, have you considered benefits and dividends and how to know that?
Great question. So we will have a combination of both. As far as employees, so W-2 wage earners and independent contractors. The independent contractors, what we envision for that is primarily going to be with the veterinarian staff. And then because we know that there's certain licensing and things that comes with that and being a vet, but we knew that there was going to be a need for both W-2 wage earners and independent contractors, so both.
We have one question, or do we have two? Concerning the owners, what are the monetary needs of the owners? How much time will they put into the business? And what are the other sources of money besides income?
So as far as the owners, which would be my husband and myself, one thing that we understood as far as any type of payroll or financial gain for ourselves, we understand that with a startup, that there would not be any expectation for us to earn any type of income, especially in that first year. Our goal, like we said, as far as our commitment to our community, we want to make sure that our staff gets their is due to them, because we need them in order to keep the doors open. And so as far as their, this is good, thank you. As far as there being a need, so we've identified as far as veterinarian, receptionist, groomer, play staff, that these numbers do not factor us at all within the first year or two, because we understand that it's a possibility that we may just simply break even that first year. And I do apologize, I do not remember your second or third question.
Well, the second one is how much time will the owners put into the business?
Yeah, so you're asking how much time?
Your personal time.
Yeah, yes, so personal time, we understand again that this is family owned, and so we know that our personal time is going to be a key factor that we'll put into it, which is why you see such a small number of staff members, because we know that we ourselves will have to roll up our sleeves and be a part of that. And so there's got to be the need for us to be on site, providing the training, being upfront with the customers, but that's going to be more so from an operational standpoint. Neither one of us want to be involved with anal gland expression or anything. No? Okay, so we won't be able to do any of that at all, but yes, we do understand the importance of us being available, so that is going to be something that is going to be a minimum of. It's just rolling. No word. No, yeah, a minimum of about 60 hours a week is what we are committed to.
The first year, what percent of your revenue is services and what percent would be supplies or something else?
So that first year, we are not offering any type of supply like the pet store, because we recognize that we have to get our foot in the market first. So the only three things that we're offering year one would be the grooming, the on-site grooming, the mobile house calls, and then the day play. So we have a plan to phase in other services and or products like with our pet store, but we truly are going to be primarily service oriented the very first couple of years, because we know we have to establish ourselves in the market. So the service is going to be, it's going to be 100% service oriented for the first couple of years.
Okay, and then your charge for services that covers not only the labor but also their material you use for the service. In the application of your service,
Yes.
I can assume that you're going to spend some supplies.
Oh, absolutely.
Also that supplies to build into your service.
Absolutely. And let's see. So what we have here broken out as far as like our monthly expenses for advertising, fuel, insurance, miscellaneous supplies on a monthly basis, and then broken down over an annual basis, and then recognizing that these expenses could very well increase. Thank you.
All right. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Good evening. Everybody hear me okay? My name is Stan Locken. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Stan Locken. This is my wife, Paula Locken. I'm also usually known as Paula Locken's husband, Stan. But we appreciate everybody.
Something's happened to our sound.
We do have a lot here.
I think it's the sound is just not the same.
Here, let me turn it off and on, maybe?
You might have to go find Pugh. This one's not, but his is. I think it's the sound.
You want me to just talk loud so you can see what's good?
Nice and loud. Nice and loud, so everything.
Okay, I'll go on stage. Well, I'll stand here. We'd be better probably from a sound standpoint. So, a clicker for the presentation. You want me to fix all of them here?
It's on the podium.
Ah, okay. I'm going to go back down to the sound work. So a little bit about who we are. I grew up on a very large ranch just south of Midlothian. Very, very fortunate to have that opportunity. My grandfather bought land during the Depression, so we had a really good opportunity to grow up on a large cattle ranch. I actually studied biology and chemistry at Stephen F. Austin. Graduated there, and actually I did some early embryo transfers in 1982, 83, when it was being really pioneered on our ranch. I got wise though, and I did a 37-year career in the senior management here at Dow, and so I've had a great career there, and the company's blessed me and my family for many years. Paul, I'll let you just
I also grew up here in Midlothian. I grew up in a 40-acre tract. Y'all know the spot of Walnut Road and 287, the busy hub there. My parents bought a 40-acre tract in 1970, and there was 1,100 people who lived here in Midlothian at the time. I grew up in our school system. I went through the 4-H and FFA programs where I got to start as a chapter president, a district president, and an area 8 vice president at FFA, and then at A&M I was on the collegiate. I studied animal science and public relations and marketing, business management, and get to use those tools today. So we're excited today to share with you about our latest project. Real quick though, just to share a little bit about Embryos cattle. In 1980, our family decided to raise a European breed of cattle called Embryos from France. And like the Speckle part that we're going to share with you today, we do not import a full-blood cow or bull. So we would use artificial insemination to a cow, wait for her to have a calf, hope it's a heifer, raise the heifer. 2 years later, she has a calf. So it's a 12-year program to get a full-blood herd. We're going to share some exciting news about that.
So, a few pictures of what a Speckle park is. I got to tell you, If you poll any rancher in Texas, they're not gonna have a clue what a Speckle Park is. Our veterinarian that comes out to our farm has never heard of Speckle Park. It's the #1 breed in Canada, it's the #1 breed in Australia, and we'll talk about why it's about to get very popular in the US. Okay, they're beautiful animals, as you can see.
These are our babies.
Yeah, these are actual pictures of some of our babies out at the ranch. But here's the interesting things. People always say, how in the world did you get interested in Speckle Park? And I was reading a forum one day, and somebody asked the question, because we were considering getting into high-end Wagyu cattle. That's the popular breed now, right? Wagyu. And somebody asked the question, what would happen if you crossbred a Wagyu with a Speckle Park? And I'm like, what the heck is a Speckle Park? And then we found out Speckle Park has incredible marbling and a lot of benefits that we'll talk about here. And that's the reason it's one of the most popular breeds in 2 other countries other than the United States. Today, we're going to give you a little sample of a Speckle Park that was grown on our farm. If you're brave enough to eat it, I promise you it's totally safe. It's not been touched by any hands. And it's probably the most expensive beef you'll ever put in your mouth, because it was a very expensive frozen embryo that we had shipped from Canada, and then it was grown on our farm, and it ended up having its spinal cord damaged, and so we had to do a slaughter. What you're tasting there has never had an ounce of grain in it. It's 100% grass-fed. Might be a little tough because it's a sirloin cut, but great flavoring in this meat. They're quite famous for that. So let's talk a little bit more about the breed, okay? This breed actually was developed in Western Canada, in Saskatchewan, and they became an official purebred line of cattle in 2006. So it's a relatively early, young breed of cattle. They were developed, as you can see, from an Aberdeen Angus, a Shorthorn, and some British cattle with white park pattern. That's where the name park comes from. So I've already mentioned they're the most popular breed in Canada and Australia. They were only introduced in Australia in 2007. What they find is they tolerate extreme heat, extreme cold, extreme drought, like a longhorn. So it's like the perfect breed of cattle, and they have incredible marbling. So the United States, everybody says, well, why aren't they here? Angus, as you see Angus beef in the store, has been the dominant beef here in the United States forever. And so it's a very slow transition for people in the United States to say, yeah, let's look at a different breed, right? And so the other reason is it's terribly difficult, as we know, and expensive to get any animals brought down from Canada. So that's why you end up usually buying frozen embryos, and it costs $1,400 just for the shipping of an embryo. And then it goes through customs, and half the time it gets hung up under U.S. government customs, and you lose the embryo. It's a lot of risk in doing this, okay? So Paul's going to talk a little bit about the advantages here of Speckle Park.
I think just to save time, easy calving, low birth weights, high fertility, great milking cows, they're docile, they're sweet, easy to work with, impressive weight gains off of just grass, and really impressive if you do add the grain to it. The biggest commercial element to Speckle Park that makes them advantageous is to the commercial operator. This Speckle Park steer will produce 5% more body weight to the end product than all of the other cattle. So you multiply that by the thousands of head that are slaughtered every year, and you have a great profit center.
So just quickly, what's the business model? Everybody thinks, okay, I'm going to go raise and herd cattle. This is not our business model at all. Our business model is to take a few female cattle that we've already raised, and bottom line is Hoofstock Genetics in Ranger, Texas has a patented technology where they will not only flush oocytes and then grow the embryos in a petri dish, and they can guarantee you 100% heifers or females or 100% bulls. So, first of all, we're going to be the first company in the United States to offer this breed to ship from the United States, okay, as a frozen embryo. But more importantly, we'll be the first ones to offer this breed worldwide, where you can guarantee you a female or a male baby calf. Now, to put it in perspective why that's so important, we bought 15 embryos cost about $1,500 a piece plus shipping. Out of those 15 embryos, we ended up with only 3 heifers, okay? Think of the cost, right? And so that's the model we're looking at. The other thing is we're working with some of the largest ranches in Canada to start the promotion of this breed. So our model is real simple, and I'm not going to go through too many details. Right now, these embryos are sold for $1,500, but they're plus all the shipping costs. But no one's offering these sex embryos. So we think the market's around 2,000, maybe even 3,000. To be honest with you, we don't know what the market is. We'll test it, and we're about to find out. And so we do have 2 grown heifers right now that Monday are being shipped to the genetics lab, and we'll start the flushing and a collection of oocytes. It's interesting to know you can get about 20 to 40 oocytes off of a flush of a female every 2 weeks. And so from those oocytes, they'll fertilize in a Petri dish. And we already have semen stored in Ranger, Texas from the world champion Speckle bark bull known as Hawkeye. Okay? Actually, that's a picture in the top right corner. So we've got everything in line to start this business, and we'll start growing embryos in Petri dishes. And then they'll be storing these, you know, in Ranger, Texas, and they have all the equipment to ship these worldwide. Okay? So, success factors. We're seeing the demand really surging now in the United States. And I'll go quickly here because I think we're almost out of time. We've actually had unbelievable demand on the few bulls that we've already had. Okay? We just had some young bulls born just recently. We've got a lady in California begging us to sell them for thousands of dollars because there's no inventory in the United States. It's so difficult to get these breeds, and we really see this breed taking off like it did in Australia, especially in Texas. It'll be very popular. So we really think that, you know, and again, you can have a full herd developed in about 2 years. We're able to take you 10 plus years in a traditional way to do this. So the demand's going to be there. We already see the interest. Real quick, this is just our outline. It was in our business plan. It's also in the printout we handed you. That's been our 5-year plan. Very, very conservative. We're saying it will start out about $1,700 an embryo that we'll sell. We think we can easily sell 50 this year. We'll ramp up to about 150 embryos at about $2,000 each. So about $300,000 in revenue. Minimal expenses, to be honest with you, and they're pretty well fixed. And so it's a very, very low overhead for us. The market overview, do we need to wrap this up right now?
Yeah, you're out of time.
Out of time. So the market overview's in there. That's it, actually. That was the last slide. So we'll open that up for questions.
Since our other mic is not working, ask the question, you can repeat it back so the folks online can hear.
You bet. Sorry, we threw out a lot of information to you there. Yes?
I noticed your revenue per embryo goes up after the first year. It goes from $1,700 to $1,900.
Right.
Is that, are you buying market share, or what is the lowest price per embryo at the beginning of years?
The low price is to test the market. It probably is too low, to be honest with you. But we want to make sure we get it introduced. We also want to make sure we're working to promote the breed, right? And we're working with these guys in Canada to do a huge promotion throughout the United States with cattle for years. For example, we have 2 young bulls that we just sold in January. They're 14 months old. And one went to Kansas, one went to Kentucky, and they're going into beef operations because they can run them out with these herds of just normal cattle, and they'll pick up what Paul described at 5% gain earlier than they will for other bulls. So, from a price, it's a great question. I knew that would come up. We think that as the demand grows, we can also raise the prices, to be honest with you. And it's going to be hard for someone else to come in and do this. It's going to take a number of years.
And the sex embryos is the hook that's different than in the existing market.
Yeah, we'll be the first in the world off that. We actually think we may have an opportunity to sell some in Australia, just because they're so popular there, and they're anxious to get breeds out of North America. This is a way they can guarantee the sex. Yes?
You mentioned Angus, they're not going to steal with the federal market. So what kind of pushback do you expect from them? How do you plan on handling that?
It's a great question. So If you look at commodities, I've been in the commodity business all my life, and I know the Canadian market's about 10% of the US market, for example, and almost all commodities are really interesting. And so, let's say you got 20,000 Speckle parks right now registered in Canada, and, you know, I just don't think the Angus breed is going to be a threat at all, okay? I don't think they're gonna see us out there. Interesting enough to your question though, in Australia, if you go to a high-end steakhouse like a Morton's or Del Frisco's type steakhouse, they offer the Angus steaks and then the premium cuts for the Speckle Park. So I think as we develop that brand, you know, I think we can, I don't think we'll be able to keep up with that market, to be honest with you. And then it'll be such a small percentage of the cattle operation. I don't think they view us as a threat.
I don't think it's a threat either, in that this is the icing on the cake type steaks, like Wagyu is. But the benefit of the 5% conversion at butchering at the time is going to put us at an advantage over the Angus cattle. These cattle mature younger, so they are less of an investment overall. So instead of 17 months to 2 years to feed out a calf, it's going to be more like 12 to 14 months. So it's a tremendous cost savings, plus getting that extra 5% calf.
At some point, we'll reach market saturation, right? We don't know what that is, and as others start to grow their herds, but I think we've easily got a 5-year window. It's going to be tough for somebody to get up to the level we're at. The other thing is, we've acquired from Embryos, it's the best, the top quality breed that is offered worldwide in Speckle parks. It's out of the Mater Ranch in Saskatchewan. And they're the premium, you know, cattle that win all the contests. And actually, they showed in Denver this last year, they beat the Angus. And the Hawkeye actually beat the Angus bulls, and so that's why we, you know, we grabbed as much steam as we could from them, because that helps establish us as a premium product.
What is the acquisition cost?
Acquisition cost of Embryos. So for us, it's a whopping $80 an embryo to take our heifers out and get a grade 1 frozen embryo. And then it costs us a whopping $1.50 a month to store a straw of 7 frozen embryos. So
Your cost of shipping?
Cost and shipping, the buyer will pay for all the shipping. The shipping is expensive because it has to go in dry ice, obviously.
Over the product life cycle, what percent loss do you expect to be
Percent loss of the embryo. So in other words, if you purchase an embryo that is in vitro, it's fertilized in a petri dish, which ours will all be done that way, you end up with about a 60% average survival rate of those embryos. And you know that when you buy them, and usually you do guarantee, you know, you'll get at least a 50% success rate. We ordered the 15 embryos, and that's exactly what we got. It was about 65% survival.
Once you ship them, what's your expected loss?
The shipping has no loss because they remain frozen. So it's a lot of times the loss depends on how little genetics lab you're using. They'll actually take the veterinarian will take these embryos. They have a process, and it's widely used all over the United States. Horses now and cattle. And they do a thaw process, and then they insert it into a recipient.
Cost of acquisition would also have to include your surrogate cattle, the mothers that you need to have purchased and ready to implant the embryos.
Fully burdened.
But a lot of people, what will happen is they have a herd of, they may have 5 cows in their backyard, and they may have 5,000, and they'll use those existing cattle as surrogates for these embryos. So it's a bit of a paradigm shift, you know. We're not looking at a traditional cattle operation. We're looking at a frozen embryo business.
And to that point, a single high-falutin bloodline cow would only give you 10 calves at the most in her lifetime. Now we're talking hundreds of the best bloodlines being produced across the country.
And again, embryo transfer work, I don't want to misrepresent that. That's been around for a while now. It's very well developed. What is revolutionary and brand new now is the technology that post-hoc genetics has, where they can guarantee that it will be a female or male. That's pretty unique.
And we have no idea what that means on the pricing. That's why we use very conservative numbers on pricing.
So I'm still a little unclear as to who you intend to really sell to and where. As you mentioned, that you really can't import these cattle much because of the cost. But they are bred and raised on shred in Canada, you intend to sell it outside of the U.S. So who really is your target market?
Our target market right now is going to be the U.S. market because we're early in the field and early with the people learning about the breed. So it'll be my job to market. So restaurant associations, organizations that like fine food, cattle organizations. We just yesterday recorded a YouTube video in the media. It's going to go out in the media about this innovative way of producing cattle. The other is the cow-calf operations that sell to the commercial operations where you have hundreds of head that are fed and butchered. So those are the market categories: meat, restaurants, the home buyer too, because there's a lot that goes there.
Yeah, you'll have something like us. We just wanted a bunch of beautiful cattle out on our farm, right? And something unique that nobody else had. So that's going to be probably 25% of our market opportunity right there. So it just depends. I think your female embryos will go a lot toward that, and then your bull male embryos will go toward big cattle operations. The guys who run the feedlots, they want these. That's where we only have 2 bulls for sale. I had people like driving us crazy to buy them because they know they can get a higher gain, and there's no bulls in the United States with breeds. So that's our market.
And AI is too cumbersome for a big operation like that.
Yeah. Great questions.
What's your biggest risk?
Biggest risk, I would say, is that for whatever reason, the breed just doesn't take on in the United States like we think it will. We think we're going to be such a small market share that we'll have more demand than we'll have supply for sure. I think that's probably the biggest risk right there. There's no way to really measure that, but I'll go back to my commodity example. If we got a very small percentage of, if the Canadian market is 20,000 animal demand, right, and they're 10% of the U.S. market technically, you're looking at a huge U.S. market potential. So that's really the only risk that we see. Otherwise, there's no risk. I think 5+ years from now, other people will get the same idea. I think there's no reason others can't do exactly what we're doing. But you better have the top bloodlines like we will have, and that's expensive, and it takes a while to start that base stock.
Which we have the 2-year-old, so we're ready to go.
And we also
They're headed up this week.
Yeah, we also have a 2-month-old heifer that's nicer than these other 2, just more. So.
If you don't mind, would you describe your market? How large it is? How do you describe your market?
Yeah, so I would tell you that, again, I'll use that 10% example. So I would say the market potential is probably a demand of about 200,000 head, probably over. That's in the U.S. only, right? I think marketing outside, there's no market in Canada. We'll have some interest out of Mexico for sure, possibly Brazil. And I think the only reason Australia would be interested is that it wants, like I said earlier, some very
Thank you very much.
To wrap up, we invite any of you that would like to come see the cattle and put your eyeballs on the most beautiful cattle that you'll ever see. Come to the ranch, it's Indy Ranch south of Waxahachie and near Maypearl. So we sincerely would love to have you out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, y'all ready? Right?
All right, everybody doing okay? Fantastic. All right, so either the other team was doing extremely well, or I was making me sweat. I don't know what it was, but it seemed like an eternity out there. Again, my name is Dustin Compton. I am the owner and of Valor Security. All right, and so I think the first 2 minutes I'm going to explain what Valor is all about, kind of my history, where I came from, and kind of why I'm standing in front of you. So, with that being said, I was born and raised in Irving, Texas, about 25 years. Been in Midlothian for the better part of 20. I've got 5 children, 4 girls, 3 of which made it tonight, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I've got a son out in the middle, so he gets it from both sides. So, I will tell you right now that I give all the glory and grace to God for me to be standing here, and I have a great woman that is standing behind me, beside me, in front of me at any given day, and I'm very, very thankful for our family. So, Valor Security. Valor started as an idea with my wife and myself several years ago. And I say that because I've been in the industry for about 12 years. And along the way, I really got to see more or less what I didn't want out of a company rather than what I did want. I'd come home, talk to my wife about how my day went and the families that I got to be with and spend some time in their homes. And a lot of times I'm in an area or an environment that is not good. They've been broken into. My company is a security company. Residential, commercial, that's what I do, is install home security systems or commercial security systems. But a lot of times I was in some very bad situations. I moved out to Midlothian, just to rewind for about 2 seconds. I was a police officer out here for about 10 years. Prior to that, I was in the Marine Corps for 8 years. So I'm no stranger to being in uncomfortable situations. But with that being said, I think that it really hit home when I was sitting in front of people that had just had their values taken away from them. One time, I was in a family's home that they got broken into on Christmas Eve. Okay? Christmas Eve, and whoever had done this was so gracious enough to, along the front yard, scatter out their presents and everything else, and unwrap them as they were leaving. So I got to do an install for this family on Christmas Day. All right, and so I'm thinking, presents are gone, the TVs are gone, the tree is all torn up. But they were the most happy family I have ever seen in a situation like that by far. It was very, very, very humbling to me to know that I'm standing in these people's homes and they actually asked us to eat breakfast with them, and they were just happy. Okay, and so the most important thing to me in that house at that time, not that I didn't know that to begin with, but the most important thing to me in that house at that time were the people. Is the family. And it was on that day that they gave thanks for everything, regardless of everything that had taken away from them, or everything that they thought they were going to wake up to that next morning. So as that progressed, my wife and I had several conversations just about me starting my own. And I will tell you that I probably will not be standing here right now had it not been for several conversations with her. She is a very aspirational person. She has goals, and I have everything on board. Okay, so I did. So with that being said, I'd like to talk to you briefly about valor. The word valor, where it comes from, the logo, where that comes from. So the word valor really embodies integrity and courage, no matter what situation you're involved in. If it's a dangerous situation or if it's not. And so the employees that I'm looking to hire right now, it's myself and my wife. So that's easy to manage sometimes. But I really want the individuals that I come in contact with every day, whether it's a customer that I'm presenting myself with, a customer in their home, or an employee that's doing the same thing. The culture that I'm wishing to cast on to this company is going to be valor. It's going to be integrity and courage, no matter what you're doing. Integrity, because if anybody's looking over your shoulder or not, it does not matter. You're going to do things the right way. I've lived here for 20 years. I love this community. I love this city. I've got all of my children that have been in the school districts here, and I have invested a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this community. Blood, 2006, April 20th, I was shot twice behind the Taco Bell in town. I say that because, not to cast any positive on a shooting by any means, but I have spent time here in town. I care about the community. I care about the family. And so when I started thinking about valor and what it meant, it just really took off for us. It was a very easy it was a very easy process. Okay, it really was. Once we got the ball rolling, there was just no looking back. The phoenix that you'll see behind the V is much like hashtag The Love Rises. The phoenix embodied what we were coming out of when COVID hit. So it was a very, very special thing for us to and be able to incorporate that into our logo. Because what I want to bring to the community and back to the industry is that you matter. You're not just a person, you're not just a family, you're not just money. This is not just a business. Because I very well may see you at the restaurant in town. And if I've just spent time with your family and I've taken care of them, it's a relationship that's gained. It's just an investment into my community, and hopefully everybody that comes in behind me is going to do the exact same thing. So I wasn't going to talk about this, but decided to because I think it's a box that needs to be checked. It's called an exit strategy. I really don't want one. I don't think I need one, but it is required, so I put some little effort into it. My exit strategy, because I was thinking about this, there is always an end date. Toys R Us just closed, for crying out loud. I never thought that was going to happen, but it did. So with that being said, anybody who takes over what I have accomplished up until that point is either going to embody the valor mentality, or I will go on to the next person. I think it's very, very, very important to leave a legacy behind, no matter who's taking over. I think they need to know and understand exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So, I think, how much time do I have left?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, my goodness. Okay. Well, let me just talk a little bit about a situation that I was involved in when I worked the streets. And I'll tell you again, this is another conversation that my wife and I have had over the years. I was involved in a situation when I worked as a police officer in a home, and there were very, very young children, very young children. This was a domestic type situation where the mother and the father were not getting along. If you know anything about walking into another man's house and telling him what to do, it doesn't always go over all that well. So with that being said, we use what's called verbal judo. I'm not very tall in stature. I'm very, I'm limited. I'll just say that. So I have to use my words carefully. As I sat mom and dad down and we cleared the air and the night continued, I thought I was going to go on to the next call. I go out to my squad car, I sit down, I start taking my notes, start doing my report, and out came the 4-year-old. Out to my squad car carrying a finger painting. It was dripping. Said, I love you, thank you, from a 4-year-old. That's why I do what I do. The breakfast that you get to sit down and have with a family, the hugs that you get, the thank yous, the phone calls that you get after you've installed their system and they tell you that it actually kept somebody safe. It kept somebody from walking in the middle of something. They actually were able to catch the person that was doing this. It means everything to me and my family. So that's really, I've got about 30 seconds or 45 seconds, but I wanted to thank the chamber, I want to thank the board. I've enjoyed being here. This has been an extraordinary experience for me, and thank you very much.
I guess I'll go first. Yes. In your proposal that you sent us, and there was some pricing structure in there that I saw.
Yes, sir.
And the question I have is, from what I could tell, and from what I know about other systems like ADT and Briggs.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I just bought a Briggs system. I didn't know you were around, so I shouldn't probably.
That's okay.
But how does your pricing structure stack up against them, since a lot of people be shopping price?
Of course.
Why should they pay more for yours, assuming it's more?
What we really try to do is stay right in the middle. Stay very competitive with the pricing structure. Not go too high, not go too low. What I will tell you is, are we able to go a little bit lower? Yes, because we do not have the overhead. But I think the value in what I'm doing, the value of what I bring to the table, the value of anybody that comes behind me, it's worth that middle structure. It's worth spending the extra $10, $15 a month to go with Valor than it would be to go with, I don't want to throw out a whole bunch of different names because I could probably do that, but there's a lot of businesses at this moment that lean solely on their name. They lean solely on their name. I'm just going to go ahead and say ADT because I don't think that they would mind. I think they're too big and they don't care about little guys like me. So I think ADT really leans on that blue sign and that white ADT on there. And so when their price structure is a little bit higher than what I'm proposing, I think the experience in general, you're not just a number to me. That's it. I'm going to be present with you and your family, and I'm going to show you every bit of value that you get. Yes, sir.
So in your business plan, I was not clear if you have been installing security systems or if this was going to be your first installation.
Okay, great question. So my father volunteered. I have been installing. My father volunteered to be the guinea pig, so he was fantastic. He didn't give us any problems at all. But he was great. My dad was the first one. J.W. Carpet here in town. Cliff Massey is a very, very, very good friend of mine. I'm installing his system on Saturday. And I've got some more appointments lined up. But right now, friends, family, anybody that I can get out and shake their hand and get in front of them up, that's my goal. But I have, just to answer your question, we are already moving forward. Yes, sir.
Now, I don't recall the name of the monitoring company, but if they were to say, we're out, what's your backup plan? If they're not going to monitor any longer, if they say we're not going to monitor any longer for Valor,
okay,
where do you go? You have this customer base, where do you go?
You're asking if my monitoring facility says we're out, yes, we're holding them accountable.
Right.
There is another monitoring facility that I've already been doing back homework on. And I can just very easily transition. And what that would happen, they would end up selling their contracts or selling their monitoring to that other body. And they've been in business for about 60 years, the one that I have as a backup plan. You're welcome.
And just kind of in the nature of your presentation, I realize that you're not really selling the product, you're selling you.
Selling me.
You're really kind of diving into your presentation, talking about culture, about who you are.
Yes, sir.
How do you scale the business knowing that you can't be all the things to all people all the time? How do you transfer what's obviously kind of yourself?
Very, very carefully. Very carefully. And I will say that if I have to be a 1, 2, 3-man show for years, I'm willing to do that. And I think that just a slow progression I've been a part of the industry for too long that it was a mass hiring, mass leaving. The turnover rate was in the 90 percentile, which is absolutely blows me away. But with that being said, the culture gets lost because there's nothing invested. Those people have nothing to, they're just looking to make money. And the people that I'm bringing behind me, if I have to recruit one of the three sitting over there, a couple of the other ones that aren't here, I will do that. But I need them to know and understand that this is what you're coming to do every day when you put on this hat or this shirt. And it's not just to be in front of a family and try to make sure that you get fed. It's so they can rest easy. And so to answer your question very carefully, very slowly, okay, just do it properly.
What do you see as your biggest learning curve?
My biggest learning curve moving ahead would have to be, I'm not a very techie guy. I know that sounds opposite of what it should be because I'm in the art industry, which there's a lot of moving parts. But my passion is for the family. My learning curve is going to be engulfing myself into new equipment, new technology, staying up to date on what's the newest, latest, and greatest, and picking the best equipment. Because just because it's more expensive and it's the latest and greatest doesn't mean that it's the best. And so it's just diving into that and really doing my homework. And that's something that I've leaned on other people to do for me for the past 12 years. Is just tell me what I'm supposed to be doing, tell me how this stuff works, and I'll go get it. Whereas now it's up to me and my family to do that. So that's my biggest learning curve.
If I read your plan correctly, your revenue is comprised of a one-time fee plus a recurring service charge.
Yes, sir.
How many customers do you plan to add each month?
Each month, that's very, on average, myself alone, anywhere from 14 to 19 to 20 per month.
And how do you plan on acquiring these new customers?
Just like I'm doing right now. Going and talking to people, getting in front of homeowners. My marketing agent is my wife, and she's very, very good at it. So social media, right now we've invested quite a bit of money in marketing mailer, where when you open it up, it's a funny story that you asked me that. We watched one of my daughters go through the mail one day, and she picked out a card that just struck her, so she grabbed it, and lo and behold, it was a lady by the name of Teresa that puts this thing on. We reached out to her and said, hey, our daughter just grabbed this out of a whole stack of mail and began reading. How do we get on that card? And so we did. So just to answer your question, we are in mailboxes, we're on social media, and then very, very much so, Mr. Mayor, word of mouth.
At what point do you expect to reach breakeven?
We're going to be in the positive year one. We're going to be in the positive year one.
And I assume that early on you won't be?
Early on, as of right now, we've invested approximately $20,000 of our own money into this. But we're seeing an uptick just of business, not necessarily $20,000 of business, but early on, yes, sir, within the next 3 or 4 months, I plan to be positive.
And cover yourself.
And covering my salary too.
Mayor said the written part of this exam is really hard. Hey, while our judges are wrapping up their scoring, I will remind you all that there's going to be an election on May 1st. The chamber hosts 2 candidate forums for the FINALISTS trustee positions and the city council. So you can find those on our Facebook page or our website. That can help you make a decision. It's very important that we choose great leaders for our community. And also on May 1st, there are going to be 4 bond propositions to benefit the city of Midlothian. And those are going to be facilities that will help us meet the needs of today's residents, but up to 50, 60, 70,000 residents. So I know we've got a new city hall and library is one of them, and a rec center. I know we've got a new police, law enforcement center. Oh, streets. How can I forget streets? So if you need more information on that, I've seen that the website is called midlothianbond.com. And so we'll check those out and I can help you make a decision. Kyle is with the Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you. While we had a couple of minutes, one of the things that we wanted to talk about, this event has been part of the education community, and apologizes getting here a little bit late, but really wanted to bring attention to the efforts that we are trying to make in our community to bring different educational opportunities available to all residents within our community. So it really starts off a couple of different approaches. So through the chamber, we're doing continuing education programs, and through their different seminars and trainings that they have, these are topics that our existing businesses are able to use and to put their skills to work and identify the immediate needs that they have. As we look out longer term, I really want to highlight the Midlothian Higher Education Center. That is Navarro College, Tarleton State University, and UNT Dallas that will be joining, offering courses. And so these are three great education partners that we have that are currently offering programs and will continue offering programs for years to come within our community. So truly, you have the opportunity in Midlothian as a business owner to advance the skills that you need in running your everyday business, but long term, whether it's going back to college and getting a few extra credits, all the way through degree programs that you have the ability to get right here in Midlothian.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'll turn it over to you.
The moment has come. It's so exciting. And everybody gets to win. So I am so excited to announce
The right place in the agenda.
the winner is.
No.
I want to say that.
Okay, hang on. At this time, we would like to ask the Education Committee to come to the front. And I think we need to meet in the middle so that we're not blocked, and the judges too. Everybody to come up forward so we can announce the final results of our business plan competition for 2021. And then I'm going to announce third place, second place, and first place. And Angel has your certificates. Now here's how this is going to work. In that folder on the table are your W-9s. The IRS requires a W-9. So the quicker you want your check, the quicker you get me back that W-9. All right, if you can fill it out tonight, we can get the check to you tomorrow. So that is all that is required from you from us. We're starting with third. So our third place contestant, you will announce.
Valor Security!
Then otherwise, first place is going to be like, oh, okay.
And our winner tonight, we're so excited. White Rock, second one.
You did a great job. You win $3,000 toward your new business. And what we're going to do is we're going to gather over here, not in front of the podium, but over here. Angel, come take a picture. lost her. She's so excited to give her the money. Okay, everybody gather over here. And we want the judges over here too in the picture. You helped us. This was a difficult process, wasn't it? All right, so we're going to wrap up our video tonight. People have been watching patiently and we've had a good presentation. Now, all of you, thank me, thank my judges and our committee and our finalists. Congratulations, everybody. Well done.
Sharon, come on up. She's on
Sharon's in here.
She's the book tower. She's our Steve Kyle. Kyle, come on up. You can read your little girl.
Yeah, she's an investor. There we go. Can you get us all?